If you're looking to get pros, move up tiers in NBA SuperCard, Super Dynasty is the place to do it. In today's video, I'm going to go over a complete guide on how to win every single season. First place in Super Dynasty, super easy. So we got to abandon our current dynasty right now. We're on season 17. I've never lost. Never not gotten first place, but we're starting completely over. That means all the stats, all the cards, everything is completely reset. All right, so let's start with the draft. I'm going to give you two things that you really need to keep your eye out for when going through each round and what you need to pick. Now, the first thing you need to look at is offense. Because after you get done setting up your lineups for lineup 1 and 2, you're going to pick a playbook. And the easiest playbook or play style or team chemistry to have is 7 seconds, which means it's only based on offense. And so it's a pretty easy stat to keep track of. And so when you're drafting, keep in mind you're going to want to pick players that have a higher offense than anything else. Now, as far as the second thing you need to look at, it's going to be stamina. Stamina is super important when it comes to this, especially in the beginning seasons when you haven't built up the stamina on all of the players. So for example, when I'm looking at this, you see Brittany Griner and Kawhi Leonard, both of those 95, 94. That is much better than Jonquel Jones at only 85. So I would certainly pick one of these two a lot more than this one just based on stamina alone. A couple other things that you really need to keep an eye out for. I know I said only two, but there really are kind of a couple other things. The next thing is salary. Salary is super important, especially when it comes to this strategy that we are getting ready to implement. Having players that waste a lot of your total salary is not very good, because that means you can't get any more other players. You know, you don't have any salary cap space in order to sign free agents and do that stuff. So when I'm looking at this, you see 43.8 and 42.2, and Brittany Griner's all the way down there at 36.6. Not only does she have the highest stamina, but she has the lowest salary. Now, the only bad thing about her is I don't typically like to pick players that only have one single position. Kind of makes it a little bit more difficult when setting up the lineups, but that's okay. We're still going to go with Brittany Griner just because she has lower salary and she has pretty decent offense. So now after we picked our 5-star player, we only get one. After we pick our 5-star player, we're going to now pick our 4-star player. Same exact thing, same exact idea. Keep in mind, you want to look at offense. You're going to want to look at stamina. You're going to want to look at salary and then position and kind of weight all that together to build your roster. Now, when I'm looking at these three, you see that Sue Bird has crap stamina, 75 stamina. I wouldn't even mess with it, even though, and she has the highest salary. So that's kind of unfortunate. Sabrina Ionescu has the lowest salary, but she also has only 87 stamina. So we're going to go with Trae Young again, even though he's only one position. So now that we got the 5 and the 4, the rest of them are going to be 3s, 2s, and 1s. And when you start next season, the place that Brittany Griner, the round that I drafted Brittany Griner is, that is going to be the player that you keep for the following year. And so when season 2 rolls around, you're going to only start with a 4-star player, and then the rest of them are going to be 3, 2, 1. But let's finish this up. Let's go Brandon Ingram for this one. And then we got another 3-star, 19 offense, highest stamina, lowest salary, close to lowest. Got to go that one. Grayson Allen, highest offense, lowest salary, best stamina. Win. Seth Curry. Also, don't forget, guys, that on the bottom of the screen, you can scroll back and forth with your previously drafted players. So when you're thinking about what positions you have left to fill, look towards the bottom, scroll left to right, and see what you got. Julius Randle, Bogdanovich. Let's go with Batum. We got some Terry Rozier. And hopefully at this point, with the first 10 drafted, you have filled out lineup 1 and lineup 2. You might be missing one position or so like that, but after this is now going to be 1 stars only. They're pretty much going to be the throwaways of our strategy, not really players that we're going to use, unless of course there is one particular player that you want to keep for the rest of the time. Go Johnson, cheap salary. I mean, that's pretty much what we're looking for now at the end with these 1 stars. We're going to want some cheap salary. So we're going to go DeAndre Jordan. He's under $1 million, piece of cake to pick him. And then out of these, last one, we're just going to go Jalen Suggs just because, again, cheapest roster or cheapest salary. Draft completed, lineups optimized, and after your draft, hopefully you got the majority of both lineup 1 and lineup 2, 2-star or higher. Remember, we were drafting offense because we're going to use the 7-second playbook to try to get the highest system proficiency. And so we're going to just see what it looks like right now. Perimeter centric, that is pretty decent. Some of these are going to be almost balanced just because it's the very first season. But like I said, every time I do this, I'm just going to keep in mind 7 seconds. Now, 300 overall. That is the highest, even on the other 4-star system proficiency. I think it was 292 or something like that. So we were up to 4-star on that one, which is pretty decent. And then we're going over on our lineup 2, perimeter centric, 3.5 stars. That's all right. But 7 seconds, also 3.5 stars, but at 262. Now, we haven't talked about the dynasty player that we're going to be keeping season after season. We're not going to get into that just yet. What we're going to do instead, after we optimize our roster and all that stuff, we're going to go over here to GM. We're going to go to sign and trade, and we're going to go over to sign free agent. Now, out of all of the free agents, I don't think there's any question. Don't even worry about who the player is. I mean, kind of keep in mind the positions you need to fill with the worst players that you have. But typically what you want to do is just find the player that has the highest star value, whatever player it is that has the highest star value, and that is going to be the player that you're going to pick. So we see only 1 single 4-star in here. We see a couple 3 stars. But we got 1 4-star. We like that. And so let's pick it. Now, the reason why I say it doesn't matter who the player is, because what we're going to do is trade this player that we got for a player that more fits our roster. Now, this roster, especially in season 1, there's not going to be a crazy big difference, but we can certainly find one, maybe a player that has a better offense, same amount of overall, with maybe higher stamina or around about the same stamina, but with a cheaper salary. So now go into proposed trade. And remember, when you're looking at through these teams, you're going to be able to get any single 4-star player that you want, regardless of who it is, regardless how much the overall is. And I'm going to show you how that you can guarantee yourself to be able to do that. And so just look through all of the teams, all of these teams. There's going to be, I don't know, however many teams there are, 15 different teams. Look through all of them. Find the player that is best suited for your roster, high offense, high stamina, cheaper salary. So normally I don't typically pick players with a higher salary, but when the right player comes along, you definitely got to scoop him up. In this case, Kyrie Irving, he had 22 offense, 97 stamina for just a couple more million. Now it's 4-star for 4-star. And like I said, when you take your 4-star player or whatever player you take off the free agency, look for that star player in the opponent team. Now, obviously, looking at this deal, it shows red. Well, it means that they don't want to do it. But all you got to do is go into your roster and add one of those 1-star throwaways that you were just going to get rid of anyway, because we only need 10 players to make this work. And so, yeah, we're going to get a much better player with a much higher offense and only getting rid of a 1-star. It's going to cost us a little bit more, but still it is definitely going to be worth it, especially starting off in season 1. So just with the addition of Kyrie, it jumped up to 308. So we got 8 extra points and then 264, and that jumped up a couple extra points as well. And then finally, the last thing we're going to do before we even start our very first game, we're going to go over here to find trade. Now, you don't have to do this or accept the trade at all, ever. This is just to see what possibilities we could get back and to be able to possibly get rid of players that don't necessarily fit your roster or have a super high salary. For this, for example, Julius Randle, kind of low on the offense, kind of a lot on the salary, doesn't really provide too much for my team. So we're going to get rid of them eventually. We're going to get rid of them in the next following week or maybe even the week after. But let's find trade, see if we can find anything that fits better for our play style, for our playbook, and get a higher offense and all of that stuff. D'Angelo Russell, maybe I need a center. And so I need to be able to have a center though. So that's the only reason why we wouldn't necessarily do that one. You know, 8 million, the better offense is a little bit better. Bogdanovich, 19 million, only 89 stamina though. Jackie Young, 18. No, that's not going to work. So, you know what? No harm, no foul. We didn't get anything from it, but that's okay. So after your draft and after your first day of doing the free agent, the trade, and then a possible other trade with the team, you should have the best overall score for the entire league. Now, it's going to take a few games to build up that, build up that gap between the next highest overall and then your team. So you do have to be just a little bit patient starting out. Your percentages aren't going to jump up to that 93% until probably mid-season, or if not the next following season. But you still should, following this strategy, you still should win first season with no problem. And then after that should be a piece of cake. But already, even just after doing this for one single day before the game, we are pretty well ahead of everybody. Next closest was only 513. So now simulating the game, depending on how close your overalls are, along with your system proficiency, is going to give you an overall win percentage chance. Now, every game we play, the win percentage chance is going to be above 50. We're not going to have the greatest record at the first couple weeks of this, but we're still going to be well better off, with that 62, 75, 80% wins, and still be able to set ourselves up nice. So ended up with an L on the first game, even at 62%. But like I said, don't sweat the losses the first couple weeks. It's really not that big a deal. Even if you stay in that 62 to 75% range the entire first season, you're going to win the season. But either way, we're on our second game. So we're going to do the same thing that we did just before the first game. We're going to go to sign trade. We're going to go over to sign free agent. And again, look through the roster and find the one that has the highest stars. In this case, it's going to be a 4-star Sabonis, 92 stamina at 22 million with 19 offense. That's actually not that bad to even start out with. Salary is a little bit expensive, of course, 24 million, but he is a 4-star. So we're going to take him anyway. One thing to always keep in mind when you're making these trades, especially ones right off of free agency, they have full stamina. And so their overall is going to be full. Now, when you're looking at other players, if their overall is yellow, that means they've been played and the stamina is low. The overall is affected by stamina. And so even though this is a 62, it's really not a 62 at full health, or at full stamina. So keep that in mind when you're looking at other players. This one a little bit cheaper, not too bad, but it does have higher stamina, even though that she's already played a game. We're going to do the same thing, chance of deal, even though I could propose the trade and it would probably go through. A lot of times when you do like even swaps, they go through. But I'm still going to give them a player. I want to give them a player. I want to try to clear some of my roster. And in this particular case, we got Grayson Allen, who is another 5 million, even though he is 19, which is pretty decent. especially on our team. But we could give him the 58 and clear of 5 million salary. So we're going to do that, put that on that side, and we still have 25 left over, and let's go. So line one, after 2 games, well, haven't played the 2 games, but 2 games of doing this, we have 3 4-stars, 1 5-star, and a 3-star for our first lineup. And then our second lineup, we got 1 3-star and 4 2-stars. We're going to simulate another game. Again, 62%. Which, of course, you know, at the start, it's not really gonna be higher than 62%. It's gonna take a week or two until you start getting up to that like 75, 80%. So hopefully we'll get a little more luck on our side this time. Looks like we took another L, but don't worry. Like I said, trust the process, because this does work, even though we're still getting what we want as far as win percentage probabilities go. It's just not falling our way at the beginning. So same thing. After our second game, we're going to go back into sign free agent, and we're going to look at these. Now, it's obviously going to be a little bit closer because we're running out of salary cap space. Unfortunately, no 4-stars this time, so we're just gonna have to take Brogdon, which is a 3-star, pretty decent. We actually might even be able to use him on our roster. Now we got ourselves a better center with better offense than Julius Randle, so this certainly works out for the better anyway. All right, so after 2 games, we've increased our system proficiency up to 4 stars already. So our team is certainly looking good, even though the first couple games we lost, but like I said, don't worry about that. So now we have our first practice, which of course is gonna be important. I mean, practice is definitely where you increase your stats, increase your overall, increase your stamina. And so there's a lot of options when it comes to this. Now, if you wanted to refresh a player's stamina, I typically do not do that pretty much ever, just unless for some reason one player is like below 50% stamina or maybe even 40%, then I might do it. But typically what I'm going to do is, at least in the beginning, I'm either going to use our max stamina, which increases increases your stamina by 3, or we're going to do offense, because after all, we're a 7-second team and we need to have higher offense. Now, one thing to keep in mind when you're doing this is that you lose 5 stamina if you select that player for training. Now, in games, when it's lineup 1, I believe it's 8 stamina you lose in lineup 1. If it's in lineup 2, you only lose 6 stamina. So also keep that in mind. Now, starting out, very first week, you can either go all stamina or all offense. We just went all offense. That's what I like to roll with, man. We want to score some points. So let's go with some offense, get that going. So now again, before this game, we go into sign free agent. We have a couple options, nothing more than 3-star. We could sign a 3-star and do what we did the previous 2 games and trade for a player that we want. We can certainly do that. We have the capability. Or you can sign a free agent and use this free agent this week and then change it out next week or next game after the next game, just so you can have a fresh player to use. We only have 15 million or so to work with, or you can just skip and wait till after the next game and then check the free agents again. All right, third time's a charm, another 62% game. We should be able to get this one. I mean, you would think after a while we're gonna start winning. All right, so now that we got our first dub, we have our very first off day. Now, at least I would recommend to do the plus 40 as much as possible. And what this means is that every player on your team gains 40 stamina. Stamina in this game is certainly crucial. Now, once you get into season 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, you know, later on down the road, you don't always have to do plus 40. You're going to be winning by so much every single, you know, pretty much every single season, that is not going to matter. But at least in season 1 and in the beginning, I would definitely recommend it. And then at this point, you pretty much should have your roster completely filled out to the maximum. We made a couple other free agent pickups and trades, and this is what it looks like. We have System 1 proficiency for 7 seconds at 5-star on lineup 1 at 332, which is pretty good. And then our bench, we're looking at, or lineup 2, we're looking at 4-star system proficiency. Now, this is my salary. We almost completely maxed it out. Now, I could tweak it here and there what you want if you want to, but I'm pretty much just going to be looking for that one player that I want to keep from one season to the next season. And it could be your favorite player. It could not. It really doesn't matter. I mean, it's totally up to you, but I certainly would not recommend taking any 5-star or 4-star player. 3 at max if you can get the salary around 10 to 12 million or something like that. But ideally, I would just pick like a 2-star. This Odyssey Sims right here at 6 million. She's pretty good. She has like 24 offense, believe it or not, already. So I would like, you know, take something like that. And then by the time the season will end, she's going to be a 5-star almost player, and her salary isn't going to be that much. And looking at where we started to where we are now, we're now at 625, and we're already quite a bit, you know, higher than most of the other teams. All the other teams are pretty much not really even close. And at this point, this is where we're going to start stretching out our lead. We have only played 3 games. We did lose our first 2, which, like I said, don't be worried about that, you know, in the beginning. Just as long as you follow this process, follow these steps, you are going to win, guaranteed, from here on out. Now, look, we're already at 72%. So pretty much every single game from this point is going to start being, you know, at least 63, but then 72%. And then it's going to even go higher by mid-season. I'm going to start getting the 93%. And then it's all she wrote, and it's GG for the rest of that time, and you should win without a problem. And then once you get done with season 1 with the player that you decided to franchise or keep from season 1 to season 2, and then then season 2 starts, you're gonna start this process all over again, exactly like we did it in the video, by picking up the free agents and then trading them, picking up a free agent, trading them, etc. So that is your guide to Super Dynasty. Like I said, this is the best place to pick up pros. You need those pros to move up tiers. And if you're like me, who is stuck in a tier and can't get any higher, the only place, at least as of making this video, Airwave is the highest tier, and there's no other way for people to get Airwave cards that are not in Airwave tier other than in Super Dynasty. And so fingers crossed we can get those top tier pros. You will eventually if you keep playing this, and plus you get tons of special cards too. You get the special card pros, which you can use for things like Platinum Playbook and all the other events. But either way, hopefully this video helped you. If it did, hit the thumbs up. If you have a different strategy that you use, please let me know in the comments. This to me is just the simplest one. Consider hitting that sub button as well. I will see y'all next time. Y'all take it easy. We're out. Peace.